Prepared a little bit of a slide today, and then you guys are actually going to see me dive in and fix a real project in real time. I'm working on a current project for a gym, so I'm going to use that as an example first. And then after that, I've already been given one sample to work with from one of your projects. So I'm going to pull up one of your projects and give you some feedback, and then we can start there as well in terms of real-time feedback back and forth. If you don't know me already, I'm founder of two businesses. I work with Brian on Pad 39, and I also founded BSD Code and Design Academy. We have now pivoted to work with children, so if any of you have children, come reach out. We do teach 7 to 17 there. Feel free to scan my QR code later on. You can add me up on LinkedIn if you have any questions after as well. So I want to jump right in. So one of the key things is people talk about UX, and then there's an entire storybook, like a trilogy series of what UX is. The problem is no one actually gives you behind the scenes of what a UX professional actually does. So instead of giving you the normal spiel, like 3 circles and saying the center is UX and you got to find personas, yeah, no shit, that's normal, right? Point is, I wanted to break down the process. I wanted to work with you guys. I've filled in 2 informations that we work with first. I've broken down my process to begin with. Apologize for the line going across, but first and foremost, if you're working on a UX project, let's say, for example, you've got a website. Sorry, Maisie did tell me to stay here. If you're working on any project, the problem is a lot of you will start with your homepage. UX does not start with your homepage. That's the reality of the situation. And let me prove it to you right now. So I've got a bunch of tabs open because you can see the tools I use to work with. I'm going to take BSD's example here. Have any of you used Google Analytics before? Yep, so this is very familiar to you, except the one page I want you guys to hit is look at the behavior tab and hit up your behavior flow. Most startups, when you start up your company, or most companies, have just their homepage as their primary page. Notice how on the right here, on this particular website, I'm going to zoom in a bit so you guys can see this. Let me know. Okay, so these are your landing pages. Anyone that works in UX as a professional does not look at websites as singular websites. They look at them as singular components, each landing page on its own. Think about the last time you searched for anything on Google. Did you end up on a homepage like Amazon.com? Pretty much never when you look at the big companies, right? You end up on their particular section talking about exactly what you're looking for. That's one of the key things that I want you guys to change your mindset right now is no one cares about your homepage. That's just the honest truth. Don't start there. Almost work your way backwards. That's how I work. So you can see right now we've got summer camps. So majority of my population on the website, I want going to the summer camp, right? If they go to the homepage, I still gotta pray that they click on the right thing, which I'm also going to track, which I'll show you guys shortly. But if they go to the homepage and don't end up on summer camp, I lost my sale. That's a problem, right? So landing pages mean where they come from. Let's say, for example, they go on Google, where they hit first. So when you pick your primary audience, what that means is, and this is a common fact when I'm working with anybody else, is they tell me, okay, who's your audience? Oh, anybody that likes, I'll say jewelry, for example. Anybody that likes jewelry. I don't know what that means. So as a UX professional, I have no clue what to do with your website. What I mean by that is you need to isolate one section. So here's an example. Who is the persona I'm going to target? Now, very common in e-commerce in Hong Kong is the female avid online shopper 30 to 40. This is pure stats, right? That's the most common individual that will shop online in Hong Kong. Now, if I pick that, the rest of these become all about that person. That's your first step. You may go, but I have all these other customers. You will do this process over and over again. That's the first thing a UX professional will do. And I'll give you guys a real example for this very shortly. The main purpose of the page. Now, any of you sell stuff here? Like e-commerce, or maybe you're selling services or anything? Does everyone here sell stuff? No? Right. So the most common thing you're going to think of is conversions, right? I need to make a sale. The problem with that is, so does everyone else. So if this room was competing against the same thing, you guys have a problem. Because me as a customer, I'm going to be hit by everybody's user experience right now. I don't get to see any of it until I go online, I search for it, and it's all the same thing. So the one thing you guys got to look for is sometimes it's not the conversion you're looking for. It's single pages that are built to generate interest. That means there'll be one page, let's say if I was selling golf clubs. Well, I don't know anything about golf clubs, but I just worked on a project, so now I do. But this golf club page is going to be dedicated to newcomers. If someone's that's getting into golf, there'll be a starter kit, this, that, what you need when you go into your first golf course experience. Whereas an experienced golfer will suddenly need all this other technical details, down to what grip you're using on the actual golf club. So in that case, how do you fit both that information in one? The common mistake people do on their UX is they try to put it next to each other. Now imagine what happens. Now if any of you know Google Analytics, this is what happens. We got a couple of these problems here that I can be honest and show you. So let me just roll this up. We get a bunch of traffics, but if you look for something called bounce rate. Have you guys heard of bounce rate before? Right? So bounce rate is basically the amount of time someone went on your website, let me just pull this up, sorry, went on your website and left without any interaction or in under 6 to 7 seconds. They just didn't click anything and left. That's a problem for you. That's one of the key things you look at in UX before you even start a project. If you have a website already, study what the problems are first. Revamping a whole new website might be suicidal if you don't figure out what went wrong in the first place. It's not just it doesn't look nice. It's about which pages didn't work. So what's happening behind me is I'm actually doing the second process together. I picked a primary audience. Let's say I go with female avid shopper online, 30 to 40. Now 30 to 40 is only useful in one place, Facebook. Why? Because Facebook is the only place I can target 30 to 40. Everywhere else, I have to use human language, be it in trilingual sites as well. I will have to figure out how these people talk. The main purpose behind it is I'm going to create 2 different pages, which means one is going to be to generate interest, show them why it's important. If you've ever done any sales before, it breaks down into 2 processes. I'm going to convert, that means I'm going to hit the buy button. How many of you actually hit a buy button the first time you see a product? Almost nobody, right? That's the point. So what you need to do is generate interest in the first page and then leave them a link to open a new tab. I'll show you that shortly. But the main purpose is not always buy. Then you got the type of page. Now, I'm going to stop there for a second and I'm going to show you guys a real example instead of just talking to you or through a slide. So let's go here. Today, I'm actually going to show you a real project I'm working on. This is a gym I go to. It doesn't look like it, but I'm working on it. I promise. And my trainer is going to kill me if I'm drinking Coke. But this is a gym I go to, and they actually are doing really well this year. This year, since we've done one revamp before for them, and this year I did this revamp, and they've increased conversions by 300%. So much so that I had to open a new floor. It's down on Wyndham Street. So here's the thing. It's not a perfect website. And why did I keep it that way? Because there's no such thing. The one blessing I had is this client was not looking for pixel perfection every single moment. It allowed me to move quicker, that means. Let's see a little bit as to what's happening here. So the first time we started really working on this is we started doing transformations. Okay? So this lady here was going to have her wedding day soon, and she did a full transformation. So what did we do? We marketed this landing page. Okay? Problems and training, and then wedding day goals. Notice, do you see wedding day goals written anywhere else? Right in the title. Repeat it. That's the first thing I want you guys to notice. Now do the user experience with me and you'll find the problems on this website. As I'm going down, okay, this is very cool. The first UX fix that I did. I'm not going to read anything more because people's attention spans are less and less. So I need to give them, some people might just go, oh, this is amazing, I want to do this. These are the type of people that are already looking for personal training. And they're seeing, should I do this place or that place? Smack it with a button right there. Give them the ability to convert, but it's not the thing I did. I can't tell you how many websites I've been to where they have a big page on the top with all the conversion buttons right in the top. Right? It'll be like, shop now. Call to action, right? Wrong spot. I don't even know what you do. So I go through the site, I have this big banner on the top, and it's got a giant call to action. I don't know why I'm clicking on it yet. So let people digest your information a little bit before you hit them. Some nice sites I've seen have something on the side. Mind you, this is the old site. It's live, but I've already started work on a UX project with them to change the site. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing to it. So this was their way of trying to target specific people. There's no guessing who's the persona here. She's pretty much picture painted for us, right? So what did we do? I said, hey, instead of starting from scratch, we went on this website called themeforest.net. I don't know if you've used this before. Now, coders hate me when I say this. I am a programmer too. But I need results and I need to make money. That's my first problem. Everything else comes second, right? So the client needs to make a quick change, improve the UX. That's rule number one. So what I did was we went through a couple of templates. I don't know if anyone here is used to WordPress before? Yeah? Okay, so you'll see a lot of WordPress today because it's just quicker for me to make changes. So I picked up this. This is not the site. Notice the link. It just says /new, right? I'm going to cut this site after this session because you're not supposed to access this. But easy to understand what's happening here. Now, here's the main problem. I did not make a UX decision before starting to study everything about the business. It was easy because I'm always going there. So what was happening there is, how many females do you think are very attracted to this homepage? Let's be honest. Right? It was a very targeted approach for men. It worked on me, but I looked at their data, and what was really interesting is the first strategy already started working. That means the transformations. A lot of people say, oh, but I want to blog on my site. Don't call it blog. It's the first thing I'm changing here as well. No one wants to read another thing called blog. It has no purpose, right? Call it whatever you want, like transformations. It's useful. It tells you exactly what it is. And it goes through. Notice the last three were targeting females. I have very few men here today, so do tell me if this works. Slowly, we started seeing a conversion increase. There was a gender balance happening. And I was like, okay, let's make this a little bit more unisex. So I started with this template. It's all fake information, by the way. This is all gibberish. You start with a template that has all this already. But it was doing one thing for me. I said, okay, how do we now start building the page? If you click on any of these top pages, it takes you back to the old website. The first thing I did was change color. I got some feedback purely by asking a couple of people, and I also realized in color theory, to have gender balance, you needed to have a little bit of color change to balance things out. Corporate websites, look at all the other gyms right now. There's the old ones, the old school ones, like Pure plays the same color and has a brand. Pure also spends about 10 times the budget because they're bigger, right? So how does a boutique gym qualify and fight against that? You have to stand out. Now, next up, this is the WordPress backend. You've already seen this before. This is how you control the whole website. Now the cool thing is the client updates this themselves after I'm done, right? So I got to make sure it's easy to use. I'm going to head over to pages. There's a whole bunch of pages they gave me, all fake information. So I started one unique approach. I said, let's launch both sites at the same time. One site that's already there, it exists, has marketing going towards it. Then we're going to start marketing individual pages. So let me show you how that works. I worked with the client, and they set up 4 landing pages for me, and I said, give me some content to work with. Okay, give me your target market. They did some UX training. They identified 3 targets: pre and post pregnancy, busy executives, weekend warriors. Weekend warriors basically means one thing. Do you guys have a friend that basically has to attend every hike possible on the weekend and attends the Spartan race every year like it's religion? Those guys, right? And it's awesome. But what do they want to see on a page? It's totally different to your average person. And Rachel, you've got a couple of friends that go weekend warrior on a weekly basis. So then you have injury prevention. Injury prevention, totally different ballgame. Let's look at the content they gave me. I'm going to show you the one I'm supposed to be doing tonight, which is right after this. So busy exec. Let's start with this. I got this, and I had to make this into an experience for the customer, right? Some text to get me started. Now, what I always do is don't overthink it. Everyone will tell you, hey, think about the SEO, think about this. Don't think about anything. Just dump first. Once everything you want to say is in there, it's easier to cut off and rephrase. So there's a couple of things. I'm going to try to bounce between the lines here. But there's a couple of things I started playing with. Work. I had to mention executive. How did I find this out? Online, we were getting some feedback on what pages over the last 3-4 months people were clicking on. And they started clicking on the executive lifestyle page, landing pages in the old site. So I was like, perfect, throw that in this one, make sure we use that keyword. So we started filling this in, and then we said, a couple of links. Notice these are the old website links, right? So you guys get the gist of how this works? Give me some information, get some links ready. Now, let's see what I had to do with it. I'm still waiting for a picture for the busy exec. This is going to be the new landing pages. Now I'm going to explain each and every process to you on this step by step. And the first thing we had to do, compared to the old website, is transform the way some of this information works. Let's say if I right now want to see if this gym is for me and I can go there. I'm going to click on services, right? Personal training, click. This is the process people generally do. This is what I'm doing. If any of you are squinting, so am I. And I'm standing right next to the screen. That's the problem. No one reads, right? So you got to make it a little bit more approachable. So first thing we had to do is go through the journey. In a business like a gym, it's all about the personalization, hence personal training, right? So we had to go, okay, this is the overall spiel. This is the, what on earth is this page about? I have less than 6 seconds to capture. You'll notice this thing called the fold. Have anyone heard of the fold before? The fold is basically this section before I scroll. Okay, that's the first thing people see. The fold is very different on mobile. Let me show you how that looks like on mobile. Oops, sorry. It's going to be a little bit small, I apologize. But this is more or less how people are going to see it on mobile. Okay? Changes the whole design, right? There's no look and feel. But bullet points, and you go through. Now let me get rid of that so you can see the whole site. There you go. So now, then I had to do a famous call to action, as you mentioned. There's a problem with call to actions. I can put a button there and people still click on everything else. And I have proof today on how this works. So when you create a page like this, the first thing I had to do was keep things small and divert your eye. Now, if I did this right, your eye should work like a Z. Goes this way and then shifts right back down. If that is what happened to you, I've started to do my job right. Because that's how all human beings read English. Different languages, different direction, right? So now if it's done the Z job, I'm going to have initial assessment. Basically, what are the benefits to me? Then I've done a splash of color a little bit to change the context of what I'm talking about. The biggest problem I was having in UX here is in the old website, I don't know where to start or stop reading. You have to make content bite-sized. Why did I choose icons? The icons, when you read it the second time, you stop reading it. You just look at the icon and you understood what it means. That's the purpose of the icon. Don't let people tell you it's just for design. Design is to solve an actual problem. It's not art. So the design behind this is really to focus on anything that relates to the text underneath. It's not a pretty picture. So once I've done this, now I have to tweak something here. There's a problem. Most people, when they go on the site, they go initial assessment. They'll click. Right? This is a problem. How do I know that? Is we put this live. Instead of waiting around for the whole website to be completed, we launched just this page, put it on Facebook ads and Google ads to start tracking how many people actually converted from these new pages. And I started getting real data back. That was the first data I got. Because I started studying people instead of just numbers on Google Analytics. There's also another tool called Hotjar. Now, I can't show you, I don't have permission to show you Hotjar for this particular page, unfortunately, but I do have another page I can show you. If you've never seen Hotjar before, Hotjar is a website that you basically sign up to, just like Google Analytics. You copy paste a little code and you bump it in your website. What it does is a little bit insane. It does track every single person going on your website, not just as a map, but actually records their screen. Let me show you. So I started this at 5 p.m. today. We're doing our summer camp sale, so a lot of influx of people coming in. So I picked up 25 recordings of people today. You can see some of them are just a few seconds, some of them are quite long. Let's have a look at a few. When you start building your landing page, dump it online. This is the longest one. I'm going to hit play. It's like Netflix. You just basically sit down and watch a bunch of people visit your website. And I did notice a bug today on our site. That one. What the hell happened to the right side of the page? Now that was 6 minutes. Went super fast because I skipped pauses. I don't want to wait around, like I got things to do. So now people are actually scrolling. This person's using Mac on Chrome, clicking on Code Club. Now watch what they do next. So you're going to get a lot of junk. There's an option on Hotjar to only record 30 seconds or more. Click that option. Otherwise you get a bunch of 1 second like, oh, okay, next. So this person's experiencing something different. Everything's moved a little bit to the right. I need to find out why. Numbers have been blocked out. That's actually a number. And now they're looking at dates and times. Almost 7 of those previous videos, because I'm a little bit cheap sometimes, I just use Hotjar's free edition and I delete all the videos and start again. It works like a charm. So I kept watching people, and this is the same thing we're doing with the new Raw website, to identify where people are moving, what are they doing, how they're interacting. Okay? Now look at this part. What do you think they're looking for? They're like, wait, who are these guys about? Now here's where I got the problem. It jumped back to the home page. I had a bug. And I was like, yelled across the marketing department, guys, fix this now. And now they're filling up a form. Or not. So before, it used to be a little bit scary because you could see what they're typing, so you know who exactly you're watching the recording of. They've been a little bit smart now and they start out every information, unfortunately. So what's really great about this is notice the call to actions that come into play. Now one thing you will learn about that site is I put two call to actions next to each other. If you ever do that, don't put them the same color. They don't work really well if they're both this exact same color. They need to have a different purpose. Use color to balance out which is what. Mobile, same thing. People will use your mobile site like it's Instagram. They just scroll, scroll, scroll. That's why I had to make sure there's a big red button right there in case they decide. And then the crazy bit happened when I realized when I first did this, they start clicking on the picture. They're mobile, right? So you're like, come side, it's great, click. Nothing happened. So you change the picture into a link as well. So these are the little things you can do. Now this can go on forever, so I'm gonna just pause this for a bit. Now Hotjar does another thing as well. I'm not sure I'm gonna get this, but I'm gonna try it with you guys. You just create a new heat map and you say landing page, viewer, whatever. Check this out, 100 free pages. After you're done, just delete 1,000 free pages, delete them, start again, delete them, start again. It does the job, but once you're a big company, because you're working on multiple projects, it makes sense to upgrade. So here, I'm going to go visit a specific page. So I'm just going to type in the landing page here. Now normally you would check the home page, right? Everyone I introduced Hotjar to like a year ago, they came back to say, oh, but like what about the other pages? You didn't type it in. So, and you need to be very specific, right? A simple URL match here basically means you're going to start with this website, and then anything that follows it, it'll track that too. If you do exact URL match, it's exactly that page. So when you got only 1,000 to go with, maybe go with the exact. It's quite useful. So I'm just going to go simple first. So if I can capture anything by the end of this session, you guys can see it. And create a heat map. Now what is a heat map? Let me give you a quick glimpse. I'm going to jump out of the presentation. So what we're doing here is, you notice my process is not a linear process. I jump back and forth like a crazy person because every time I create a page, I go through this whole experience. And then I create another page. And then I create another page. The process is a little bit slower, but here's the basics of what I do. Right? The picture's purpose here, please do not put in, like if you're a Hong Kong based company, no one needs to see Hong Kong skyline. Just stop like putting Hong Kong skyline there. Put your product up front. Now if you're like, let's say, I don't know, law firm. Now that's a bit difficult. You can't exactly put a legal contract up there and say like, this is what we do. The best thing to do there is actually put quotes of advice. For example, the Hong Kong law is changing so often when it comes to businesses, and if you have anything with immigration law, that's a whole ball game. You can put in quotes there saying learn more about this particular topic right now. The purpose of, if you have an e-commerce shop as well, don't just say start shopping now. They're already on your website. They're already ready to start shopping. So on your homepage, give them stuff that they can buy immediately. Don't just talk about it. Give you another example here of an e-commerce store we're working with. So the Pad 39 crew will know this really well. So this is ISCO, right? We're going to do a UX revamp on this in 8 days, right? Yep. So here's the thing. There's a couple of mistakes we've tried and tested, and it didn't work. So I'm updating you right now. The shop now, I don't know what happened to the slider there, was followed by these. Spot the UX problems here. Do any of you know what on earth it's even talking about? Right? That's why you do personas. Now, ISCO is actually a pretty amazing product because once you go into the shop, it covers a whole range of different products that are very organic, vegan friendly, healthy, and so on, right? So now I got to sell that story on the homepage. I'm going to use the same process but page by page by page. So you can see there's a whole range of products that they have. They all have the same purpose. So the idea is, and Ethik, we had a launch party here for Ethik as well at the store, and that's their primary new product. So I'm going to have to push one product. Why is that a strategy? If you guys have any e-commerce store, don't try to sell everything. It doesn't work. The client, in this case, Chin, went out and said, okay, we need to put this product, this product, this product, this product, this product, this product on the homepage. I'm like, it won't work. And now we tested it because there's too many products, too much focus point. Think about it. If you're marketing, you would rather see something like this. So I clicked on one of the links on the bottom. Internet's going to take its time. Directly goes to one product line. Why was this page made? We were doing an event. If you're going to scan a QR code or check a website out, I want you to hit what this event is about there and then, not to go to my website. Because this website will show you everything else, whereas this will show you just the products you need. On mobile, if you get a chance, visit isco.com.hk, you view the mobile site. Go to the shop and then see the mobile. There is one problem here that we're going to fix. Can anyone guess what it is? Very common. You mentioned it earlier. Call to action. Do you guys notice where the call to action is? Is there one? Now if I hover over it, it shows up. Is it powerful enough? Nope. Add to cart. That little bit there, if I hover over it. So how do you fix that? I'm going to basically put, and I can do this shortly if I have time, but I'll basically put a circle around it, a rounded circle, make it black, and flip the color to white. So it pops. Now why would I do that for each and every product? On the big screen it looks kind of dull, like too many black boxes. You get confused. But based on our Google Analytics, majority of the users are viewing the website like this. Now if they're on mobile, I don't know if you guys can see that clearly. I apologize if it's not that clear. You notice what's happening? You're seeing one product at a time. So I got to make it interactive. But if you click on the product itself, it does work. It's the first thing I did, because human beings, if they can't find a button to press, they will click on the image. The next thing they will do. And the best way to test this is use hotjar.com. Try it out. It's quite handy. So the images are very important to show your product, but make it attractive. And what I mean by make it attractive is, if any of you use Photoshop, try this. If you have a picture and you don't have budget for photography, crank up the saturation a little bit on your images. It works. It's an old marketing trick I learned when I was in agencies. Crank up ever so slightly to make it pop. And it'll be first thing people see. But if you move their eye here, you know what the problem is. The next thing they're going to do is not work backwards if they're not naturally reading that way. So flip it. Make sense? Call to action button. Here's something that looks beautiful with a nice line around it. Doesn't work. Make it like a block. That's something I've learned from e-commerce a lot, especially, is make it a box so it's a bit more visible. And don't say, experience our product now. People don't know what that means, right? People get too creative with their words. Be so direct, it's almost as if you're telling someone, hey, buy this now, or click here now. Click here now, why? See, you talk about the action. Buy now. That's what people are looking for, if you're looking for conversion. So what I mean by that is, make sure the words are clear as to what you're actually going to do if you click that button. Does that make sense? Make sure it's responsive. Now, an easy way, if you guys use Google Chrome, you'll notice I was doing this all the time just now, is go to any website, right click, inspect, and a little code thing will open. If any of you are a coder here, you definitely know this tool because you live on it. Click that little icon on the left. You guys see it right here? It's on the far left. Just click it to turn on mobile responsive mode. And then you can swap. You want to see how an iPhone, back when I was working for a boss who refused to let me publish any website until his phone worked perfectly, which is quite fun. So I had to make sure I added his phone because it was a Chinese phone, so it wasn't there. So you can add custom devices. So just go here and hit edit. Very important if you work in corporate, the person signing off saying this is going to work, they need to make sure it works on their device first. The first thing they'll check. Trust me. I want to see how I'm doing on time. Okay, pretty good. Okay, so let me now show you back to this little part here. You guys remember this website? Now with busy execs, one of the things I started doing is sectioning out paragraphs that I was sent into different points. Whenever you ask a client or yourself sometimes, hey, tell me about how busy executives can go to your gym, for example. I got a paragraph essay. It's the first thing naturally as an owner of a business as well, you do that, right? You want to tell everything. That's great. Take isolated lines or sentences and turn them into different components. But then, well, this was the hardest, most trickiest part, but I think we've got it right. In the news site, we focused what do busy executives care about. Now, you have 4 different options. One is to meet a male client to see how it works, or to meet a female client to see how it works. We had to balance it out. So that was really as a rule. And then to start getting what exactly are the benefits. If you've only got 1 hour to spend, you're going to need to get some benefits out of it. Now this works very different for different purposes. Do you guys see how every call to action purposely now has different colors? And there was a debate with a client as well. He was wondering, why did you not use stereotypical colors? We live in a world that's very different, so I had to test different colors. Now, stereotypicals like blue and pink don't work. They don't work the same way they used to. So don't just go after that. Like, oh, I'm targeting a man, so I'm making everything blue. Targeting a girl, everything pink. That's not how the world works. Stats will show you that. So always also keep one eye on how many sentences you throw in there. The max I go with is 2 per point. 2 sentences per segment of reading material. Anything higher than that, I saw people just scroll right past it. So how do you launch a site like this? Because that was just 1 page, and I put it live. The client's like, what have you done? Like, it's not ready. What if they click on anything else? Sure, I'm like, try it. Transformations. It has a nice little loading thing and spits you right back to the old website. Everything is mapped to the old website. So if they engage or interact with you, it takes you back to your old website. Book a consultation, takes you to a form. This was an ongoing debate. I fight for the least amount of form space possible. The client wants an essay. Very common. This client, however, has picked it up quite well. First name, last name, email, what are you looking for? If you need anything else, tell us and send. They're quick and snappy. I once worked for a restaurant group in Hong Kong, and they wanted to know your address, this, that. I'm like, what for? I'm like, what if they want to do delivery? I'm like, they'll tell you when they want to do delivery. You don't need to ask them right now. The rule of thumb is be your own devil's advocate. Play it out once, and then after that, the next day or 2, visit your site again and try to actually execute it. Try to accomplish a goal. that brings me back to one of the hardest parts. If you're not a developer, this can be very daunting, is you need to make this page load extremely fast, right? And if you've ever used stock images or sometimes and just uploaded it, you notice how you're like, hey, it works, this is great. And then anyone else tries it, they're just waiting for like 3 minutes before your site loads, right? There's a couple of ways to fix this. Number one, start with your logo. Something new has kind of hit the web last year is you can do something like this. Logos don't have to be the same. On mobile, as much as you want to share your brand, the person doesn't care as much because they have very little space. So your branding is the least amount of importance on their little screen, right? So use your branding via colors and push that out. Don't just spit your logo everywhere and say, that's my branding. Your brand represents through colors and your fonts and the look and feel of your site as well. So how does this work? I left this, when you guys get this PDF, I've done 2 things for you guys here. I found this great article, which I stole this image from. I'm sure he'll be fine because I credited him. But Nils, whoever that is, wrote a fantastic article on how to get started with this, step by step. So even if you're not the one doing it, you can send this to anyone that's building your website. Sorry, you're taking a picture. Whoops, there you go. That's pretty cool. He shows you exactly how it works. Now, notice one thing. I've also given you the code. In case you have no clue how to get started with this, this is actually the live version. So, just going to quickly show you. That's what responsive really means. Now, the crazy thing is this also works for your images. You know those photos on your phone? If you have this beautiful slider with like a model that helped you take a picture with, like, say you're selling bags or like hats or whatever. The crazy thing is on mobile, kill the image. You don't need it. It doesn't work. So you can get rid of it and shrink it. All the code is written right here. Just click on that and you get the whole code base. There's no JavaScript if you know the code base of it. It's just pure HTML and CSS. SVGs are not great to make. My UX designer that's working for me is crying right now because we did a rebrand and it's such a complicated logo. He's got to make that into an SVG. It takes time. It takes a lot of time to get it right. If it's a simple logo like this, it's a piece of cake. So really, spend the effort to do it because that thing loads in all sizes in the same file, if that makes sense. So imagine right now, if I go to a mobile website versus a desktop site, it's generally going to load the desktop first and scale it downwards to mobile, unless you start on mobile and it just loads the mobile and then that's it, right? The problem with this is to make something responsive, meaning you can drag and drop and open it in any window, is it will always load in the desktop and work its way downwards. So if you're going to upload a photo, make sure you script or program something just for mobile as well. And SVGs, don't bother, don't need to do anything. It scales automatically. You do it once, it works everywhere. So I left a little note just in case you guys want to check out Hotjar again. But this is kind of how it works. You built this amazing page. Now you need to know how are people interacting. Now remember I told you they click on practically everything? We'll have to stay there. The more red you see, the more the person clicked on that area. Give you a quick glimpse, that's what it means. Make sense? I'll come back to this. But the more red, the more interaction you got. Now notice the poor get your free course demo down there. Got nothing. Now this is the problem with landing pages, right? You need to know where exactly you're going to put your call to actions. So when you're working on something like this, 3 things to change immediately. That picture needs to shrink a little bit. Why? Because if you shrink that picture, it's connected to that box, meaning everything else can go up a little. Then you can just shrink the fonts a little bit and make things a little bit less in your face. Now, why do I say that? Is you've got also 3 interactive points here. The biggest mistake they did here is add these 2 logos. Now, this is very common. If you spent a lot of time as a business to get something certified, you want to promote that everywhere. Oops, sorry. You want to promote that everywhere. So what happens there is people click on it. It's got a pretty red spot there. And guess where it takes you? Absolutely nowhere. So people are just clicking on this thing, nothing's happening. Then go land your dream job. Click, 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 click. Nothing happening. Project Management Institute, what's that? Click, 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 click. Nothing happening. Then they clearly gave up. And the main call to action is gone. So this sounds crazy and really counterproductive, but 2 common rules I do is make as many things clickable as possible in the beginning. Start that way and work your way backwards. I promise you it'll get better, because sometimes you as a user, you're like, I don't want to make everything clickable because in mobile, as soon as you touch it, it goes somewhere, right? The other thing, if any of you pull out your mobile device later, visit any site and notice how close to the edge. It'll be right till there. Have you ever had that problem where you can't scroll for shit? You're like, what's happening here? Like, I can't scroll down. There's a big, beautiful video. It keeps playing every time I touch it. Shrink a little bit. All you got to do is add 1 line of code on this, just saying width 80% if it's on mobile. And everything just shrinks downwards a little bit to give some room for fingers. And be kind about fingers. Asia, we got pretty thin fingers. Everywhere else is not always that friendly. And mine's are like horrible to use because I use my thumbs. So you got to be accepting that some people are not going to need to see the full picture all the way across. When you download templates as well, they come like that, so edit it. 1 line of code. So a good question one of you guys asked me prior to this event is, can you talk to us about the fold? What is important about this fold? Fold is basically the first thing that loads, and then everything else under the fold is what people engage with. Where do people click on the most? And believe it or not, it's not the top part of your page. You know where you put all your navigations? They're going to get engagement, I guarantee you, because that's how people use websites. But majority of it is the right dead bottom part. And if you notice, most websites, they put their call to action right there, right in the bottom. What that means is if this was the page, right here is the call to action spot, the hot spot. Dead center, remember, not on the side, not on the left, right? It's dead center. That's the hottest spot. I'm not saying it's a golden rule, you must put it there on every page. I'm just saying if you're not sure where to put it, that's a good area to start. Also, the first few things people see after they scroll are going to be the second most important thing they will look at. If it's your homepage, because at the end of the day, you still need a homepage, right? If it's your homepage, put your services in button format, like, you know, icon, or something like that. Common trick I use is I put your services here. That means these are 3 different personalities that are visiting your website that might want different things, like a different service, or maybe they want to approach you because they're a different type of people. Like I said, for example, beginner friendly, intermediate, advanced series, that's a common practice, right? But you target all 3 in the same line. And what happens on mobile? They go one under each other. And as you go down, you're losing traction. So your hotspots are really that right at the bottom of the fold and right on the top of the, underneath the fold. So that middle part right here. That's your hottest area. These are shown by over 1 million visitors on 10 publishers over the world in a 24-hour period. Now what's great is Hotjar can do this for your site. Because the one common rule, I'll give you a slide marketing thing because I do marketing as well. Everyone told me, hey, you must post at lunchtime and after work. You know what's Hong Kong's most popular time to send anything out? 9 p.m. For some reason, 9 p.m. Anywhere else in the world, it's like 6 to 7 on the transit. it's 9 p.m. onwards you get the most inquiries. Believe it or not, check your own inquiry logs. You might see it coming in after 9. But each industry is different, right? Oh. The problem is you guys are going to go back and possibly go, well, this guy's work looks better than mine. Why does it look always so different? So I try my best to like find this, but it gives you lead generation and conversion rates on average. So these are the best results on average, and these are the medians. Like, I shouldn't say on average. These are the best results of that industry, and these are the average results of the industry. Look at the major difference. So for example, if any of you see your business, anyone in travel, for example, here? No? I'm going to keep going. Business services, come on, someone's got to be in business services. Nobody. Okay, I'm going to try one more here. Health? No? Okay, what is everyone in? Huh? Health, okay. So I did research all of these individually so I can explain a bit more. Health, you will notice, is on the far bottom of conversion. The main reason health struggles the most to convert quickly is there's too many options. And people are the most ready to research when it comes to health. So for example, if I'm going to even buy nutrition pills, unless you go to iHerb or ISCO or whatever, and you're a regular customer there, you're going to shop. And that's one of the reasons health strategy here, one of the biggest strategies in UX I use, I actually build multiple landing pages about the same thing. So when you go to the website, if you click on, like, let's say our services or like our supplements, for example, right? And they click on supplements, I have 7 other pages that are hidden you can't access from the menu. But I will market those to find out which is the most popular and make that the primary page. That's one of the key strategies I've been using for almost 6 years. And it produces results regardless, because I've got so much different SEO strategy going on at the back that when you first see it, you're like, oh, I don't know. But there, you go to Google Analytics, there's another page that's converting. Because think about it, when you go on Facebook, click on an ad. Next time you'll see sometimes these links are like so long, right? These are all trackers so that the person knows which page you visited and where you came from. And also sometimes what time you came. So use these as a nice reference to not freak out as well. Like some of your businesses will take time to grow. So I did today's demo on raw personal training. Let me see how I'm doing on time. I'm going to quickly do one demo from Bees Diamonds. Is that right? Perfect. I'll do that next. Let me just show you the main thing. The look and feel is still going to be important to you, right? So you do need to care about that. But notice there, I've got one call to action, the blue button. Here, sorry, these are supposed to be 2 pages. I kept these 3 as consistents that take you to every page, like every generic page has it. Call to action, as soon as you see it, 2 call to actions. Now, remember I told you I don't like the ones that are just singular line? That's one of these reasons why, because this is not working that well. So what I'm going to do in a couple of days is I'm going to make that all yellow and make the text black for one of them and see if one of them worked over the other. So let's try your website now. I'm going to just pull up these diamonds. All right, so I'm going to load this again. And a little trick that I always do, if you use Control R or Command R, double tap. It loads the page properly again. Now, what's happening here? Let's go through slowly. Am I allowed to like really go after it? Okay, cool. Because I always get nervous because people get really upset. Okay, very quick change here is your navigation menu is not in the readability zone. What that means is, firstly, this is more of a design thing, but alignment, keep them aligned, or keep your navigation menu on this side of the page. Now mind you, this is on a massive screen, right? So do test it on different scenarios. Now the other thing is, you've got a YouTube video which looks great in theory, I'm going to show you another site that does the YouTube video thing really well. And it'll remind you of Instagram a little bit. Let me see if I can remember this. I hope I remember this. Nope, I did not remember this. 1 second. I swear I hate these random domain names. Okay, anyway, let me just show you what I mean. So have you guys heard of a GIF before? Like GIF? So a trick that a lot of websites are using nowadays is they actually load a video GIF. So for example, here, instead of me clicking on this video, ooh, does this work? I don't know if I can click the video right now. Is it supposed to play?
Yeah, it's supposed to play. I don't know what now.
Okay, anyway, don't cover the full screen. This has been my worst nightmare because when it first came out in design 3-4 years ago, I got really excited by it. I'm like, this looks beautiful. It's like a coffee table book. And coming from a design background, this was really fun. Except it backfired so bad because literally no one bothered clicking on anything, which meant they stopped at the homepage and left. My bounce rates were over 90%, which is something to cry about if you have that problem. Now the issue here, what that means is most people came in, they don't know what to click on. I'm going to go back to English so I know what's happening here, but I'm going to click on Learn More. All right? So the first thing I'm going to do is, that's a better homepage than the first one. If you can, right now, just kill that homepage and just make this the primary page, it's already better. Yeah, just get rid of it. It's pointless. Because one of the key things it does is in the first second, I already know what you guys are doing. Except be very careful about sliders. This is a common mistake people make here, and I've learned this the hard way. You always want to present your company. So I've worked with a couple of jewelry companies before. I'll show you one actually. So this is my business partner's wife, Natalie's site. So we'll pull this up. Now, by no means is this going to be the most pretty site because it was done 5 years ago. But it still works, right? I use WordPress as well. Now she's a boutique jeweler. Notice how some of the rules I'm talking about today are still applied. Call to action buttons right underneath, right? Now just jump back to yours for a second. You have all this, but think about the one thing. If I'm looking for a ring, I'm going to come into your website. That's one customer, right? One type of customer. I'm going to first want to see, okay, cool. I'm going to get engaged. I'm going to propose. Where do I go? My girlfriend's staring at me here. I'm going to pick the right page. Okay, I'm going to go to diamonds. And this is a standard user experience. You notice how I'm going through basically a catalog old school book. I don't know what to do. So here's some advice. If I go to your homepage, which actually this is your homepage, that screen you can just get rid of. If I click on Invest in the Purist or Asia's leading diamond investor advisor, which is the most important client for you? Is it the advisory side or selling jewelry? Selling jewelry to consumers, right? That should be the only thing that should play on your homepage. Why? Because think about it. If you have an independent advisor for jewels, those are very specific things people search for, right? Send them to their own page. The average customer you give your business card to, which is very common, the Hong Kong handshake, you guys know this, is they will go and see this after you kill that first page. But after they go here, they want to just see the different jewelry products you have available. Think about what a customer thinks at this point. That's the first step I showed you guys last time, right? Is, let's just go back here. Pick a primary audience, man buying jewelry. If I go back here, fix that first. See if that works, if that's your primary customer. Now, the other thing is, in jewelry, it's interesting because you have a female client as well. It could be a female looking for inspiration to send. That's one way, or inspiration to buy. Also a customer, right? So that's the tricky bit. You can't just go after engagement. It has to be all the different variations. So talk to your customer here. What I would do is I'll change the heading to looking bespoke engagement rings available or something like that. And then text. That's the first few key lines I would change. It sounds odd, it's nothing to do with design, but it's the text I'll go after first. And many people will tell you, hey, you can do a full revamp. Don't do it yet. Save your money, don't revamp the full site yet. Because if you can wait and test some of these ideas out, you would know better on what to do next. Same thing I did with Raw. I changed a few things here and there, saved the client like hundreds, like nearly $100,000, because they just changed bits and pieces for a year, increased the conversion, now they can afford to do a revamp, and it's still not costing them that much more. And then, that's one page, right? You can notice you have beesdiamonds.com, Mavista, I don't know what Mavista is. Okay, yeah, speak to them. That's not supposed to happen, ever. Ever, ever, ever. CMS as well, get rid of it. In the next iteration. Right now you can't change anything that easily, but in the next iteration, you never ever allow anything trash to be here. Because this stuff is searchable. Very, very searchable. The first thing, if I go to Bees Diamonds, look at what shows up. That's all the keywords you waste for not being able to market. You see what I mean? And the other thing, this is how majority of your customers, they're not going to type in Bees Diamonds, they're probably going to say buy a diamond and so on. That's why on those landing pages, you say things like looking for a diamond or buy a diamond today or reserve your diamond. I don't know how it works in this scenario, but the idea is that call to action, if you can get that showing up here, notice what majority of you guys type when you're looking to shops for something. Automatically, you'll be like, if you're downloading a movie even, where to download this movie. If you're even looking for, let's say, shopping online, like let's say, red dress online, Hong Kong. These are the things people will type for, and if any of those keywords show up here, you skyrocket in your rankings. So start the fix there. Because this project is not brand new, it's going to be a fix first. Tweak some of these are called meta keywords. You notice that? Notice the ... at the end. That's, get rid of the ... because basically the site doesn't have any description. You haven't given it meta description. So it's just pulling from the homepage. Notice the word. Main business is diamond wholesalers. Is diamond wholesalers, which is why you can get a much bigger diamond for less. Okay? So click. Now, where did it pull that information from? Yep. Now, if it's either from a review or if that was actually typed in by a developer, one of the key things developers need to also study is how long you can type these. They're not unlimited text. So you need to keep them in a certain length. For meta descriptions, now why I say this for UX is that's the first way you guys will actually get results. People will actually show up on your site. So meta description lengths are anywhere under 300 characters. And what it means by truncates is it adds the ... after that, which is horrible for your experience. Because it blocks you from, it's like Twitter, right? 140 characters. You play that card. Something similar to Twitter, just 2 sentences. Keep it in that line and you're in pretty good shape. So the other thing is, where do I actually purchase a diamond on your site? Can you guide me?
There's no e-shop.
Okay, so it's more like a inquire button. So where can I inquire for a diamond that I might like? Okay, book an appointment. Now, that can be repeated. What I also do is, and I hate saying this to clients, get rid of all of this. No one's going to read it. That's the reality of the situation. Keep it more around, because choosing a diamond this is the information you give them when they come and talk to you. So right now, give them bite-sized snippets. That's one of the key things even you can use in marketing strategy is bite-sized snippets. So for example, we stock on the top 5% diamonds globally. That's a whole icon and a text, and they can click on. Or the button underneath it says inquire now. or see our lookbook. Lookbook is a common term you use for jewelry that is not selling online. So with consultation, a lot of different offers show up here. Now, you only need their email address, maybe the telephone, and their name. That's it. Everything else, forget it. Get them through the door first. The more you get them through the door, the better. Because when they call you, this is more of a phone call and very personal experience, right? The other thing you do is each of these, make a separate landing page. Just make a new page, just targeting each and every one of these. And over there, put a form without them clicking anything. It's just there, the form. Now the click rate is not going to be very high. So don't be freaked out by the Google's low rates because you're putting the form right there. Now what's great about that is that's the first thing I would do as soon as possible. Create 6 landing pages. 6 landing pages with the form inside already and boost that on Facebook. Don't boost, sorry. Create an ad on Facebook. Everything else, the client doesn't even know. If you ask someone like me, if I'm looking for a ring, I stopped understanding anything beyond this line, right? For me, personally. So I'd have to go online and go like, okay, let me go search somewhere else what any of this even means. Because your clients aren't supposed to be knowledgeable about this, which is why they trust you. The QR code is great, especially if you're operating in China. That's like almost a given. Although, if you go with a new design, go with something a bit more full-paged, in a sense that this, for example, if I go to office locations, click direction, you got a PDF. I wanted directions, right? So what you can do here, which is pretty cool, is Google Maps lets you create a unique link where if you click on it on a phone, it will take you from wherever you are and draw a line straight to your office. And that's far more efficient, and at least open it on Google Maps. A PDF is not something you want to ever load, ideally. This information is useful. But you know when they inquire you, you can send it to them. Saying, hey, if you're visiting the office, here's some extra information. And I know I'm running a bit out of time here, so does anyone have any questions or anything pressing they want me to cover in the UX side? Yeah. Yeah, sure. So let me just pull up. So not necessarily, because I'll pull up here, this is a slider. So one of the key things about a slider is they're just like your cover photo on Facebook. They're not supposed to be the same thing ever. So it's every campaign that you do, you can put a slider on. But after the campaign's over, you would put something quite generic, like in this case, like learn more, right? It's not creating an inquiry for you. So the thing I hate about sliders is most people do it wrong. If you do it right, you can see, I'll use one example here. So the idea here is, remember the full screen thing I talked about that I don't like? We did it here because I already have a call to action that's big and in your face. On mobile, those sliders, try to not use them as much. Let me show you what happens on mobile here. There's nothing changing. As soon as that change happens, the multiple sliders, your mobile experience is broken because you can't really interact with anything, right? So there's code, even on WordPress, you're on WordPress, right? If you're on WordPress, disable the mobile slides for all the others. If you use something called Revolution Slider, that might be something what you're using for sliders on WordPress. That's a common one. Turn off all of them on mobile and leave only one on for mobile. So on mobile experience, you're running a one flat and make sure that button is very visible. What's great about that is you're not changing anything, and on desktop, it's directly focusing on the biggest thing I'm spending money and time to convert on. So I would say the way I use it is I don't use a slider, I put a slide, like a singular image, because I have way more control over it and I can balance the experience and I can change it frequently. So right after this summer, this will change. And right underneath it, you guys saw the Hotjar video of people clicking. Make sure right after that you have call to actions and varied ones, not just like inquire here. So for yours, target like 3 different audiences right there. Looking for engagement rings, that would be in your case. But yeah. Yep.
If you have a video, would you put it below or before this?
Good question. So I avoid the slider having a video now because it's now known as bad practice. Google basically doesn't recommend it. So what I do with the video, I really want to, if you guys can just bear with me for like half a minute, I'm going to quickly find this site because I think it is very good. There, I got it. Okay. This thing is awesome. So I'm basing a site on this design because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, now they have videos on the site. None of what you're seeing is video, right? Now look at what they did with the video. It'll answer your question. This is sick. It's playing a GIF of the video, which is really compressed and running flawlessly. And then they have this beautiful little button there saying, watch the full video. If I click on that, I go to YouTube. Why do people throw it on YouTube and not on their own server? You can't afford YouTube servers, like the speed of that. So use YouTube. It loads flawlessly, perfectly, and you can disable those, you know those ads that come in between or all that? You can disable all of it when you're embedding video. So you don't have to have, like, after the video finishes, all these ads. Like, do you want to watch your Pokemon video? Like, you know, stuff like that. My nephews use my laptop, but yeah.
So it's easy to do an image feed?
So YouTube to, if you put it on YouTube, just YouTube to GIF. Why do it when you can just use something else to do it? It's like an automated thing, and you just select start, finish, bam, done. And if you get like someone that's good at the design software, try to compress that GIF a little bit. The more quicker that thing loads, it's amazing. And why is video so important for advertising as well? If you guys, just a side note, right now all the leading, like YouTube, Facebook, they're kind of fighting for the video space, which means all the advertising has gone cheaper. So that's why a lot of people, even if it's a simple video, like for example yours, like those 6 landing pages you might make, just make a video for each of them and take them, like very simple, short, 40 seconds, just put images and graphics coming in, that's all you need. Just try it, there's no harm done there. So yeah. So if you want to take down the site, I absolutely love what they've done with this site because it's, for somehow, they've also managed to make it perfect on SEO. That means every page works flawlessly. And all of this is text, and none of them are images. Why is that important for your SEO site as well? Is everything is readable, but it also loads faster. All these animations, remember I told you guys about SVG? When you guys get the PDF, read up about it a little bit more. Because now everyone's making these graphics like you saw on the homepage through code. Why do they do that, or why do they bother? It loads so fast. This is a pretty hefty site, but look at how fast it just popped open.
I'm confused, like, how do they do SEO without the, like, bunch of words?
So the thing is, they focused on the most important keywords, and they just put those there. So that means, let's say for example, I can't see all the pages that they've created because some of them are hidden. So how I landed up on this site is I got an email marketing campaign. I clicked on their link, and it took me to a page that was so uniquely dedicated to people coming from email about an event they were participating in. I can't find that page anymore because they disabled it. But what they did was they created hidden pages that don't show up on the menu. And this is a dangerous tactic, by the way. Only do this if you're like a design agency or something, like having just the hamburger menu on the left. It's safer for you guys to have a menu if you're starting out. But if you're confident and it's quite big, like these guys have made everything text, even the animations. This is the power of what the web's doing today for UX. It used to be something called Flash before. I sadly started my career with that and it just plummeted. But everything now is happening with CSS. What's great is if any of you guys are planning to learn how to code this or do this yourself, inspect their code. And you'll start noticing all the libraries they use. What that means is they downloaded something that allows you to make this stuff quicker. Just by saying, this is my text, make it swipe animate. Just type in swipe animate and it'll just do that. Now with WordPress, there are not many good plugins. I've been looking for it. So I'm having to custom build a lot of my features for the couple of new sites. But there's not many easy shortcuts for this. So that's only if you really have the budget and time to build something yourself. I would first invest in just building one landing page. A lot of people have this fear of doing UX for the whole site, and it's so expensive as well. Like, even if I worked on across your whole site, it's too expensive to cover everything. So you cover 1 or 2 pages first, and then advertise those pages. And it should work a lot quicker for you then. Because if that page makes money, you know the rest of it's going to make money. Perfect. And then with that, I know I've kind of burnt over time as usual. You will get the slides. Feel free to grab my business cards or reach out to anyone at Pad 39's team or myself as well. I'll leave up the slide with my information, and thank you guys for coming tonight. Cheers.